You've probably heard the phrase, "nice guys finish last." It's a common saying, but have you ever stopped to ask why? What is it about being too nice that can actually become a problem? Today, we're diving into the concept of nice guy syndrome, what it is, how it develops, and why it's not as harmless as it might sound. Stay with me. This might just change how you see yourself or someone you know. Welcome to Mindset Remix. In this series, we're tackling the deeper issues that hold us back. And today, we're starting with nice guy syndrome. Now let's be clear, being genuinely kind is a wonderful quality. But there's a difference between kindness that comes from confidence and kindness that comes from fear or insecurity. Nice guy syndrome is when someone uses niceness as a strategy, not as a genuine reflection of their values, but as a way to gain approval, avoid rejection, or control outcomes. If you've ever felt like your niceness isn't appreciated, or like you're doing everything for others and getting nothing in return, you might be dealing with nice guy syndrome. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what it is, why it's harmful, and how to start recognizing it in yourself or others. Let's get started. So, what exactly is nice guy syndrome? The term was popularized by Dr. Robert Glover in his book, No More Mr. Nice Guy. It refers to men who believe that being overly accommodating, agreeable, and self-sacrificing will earn them love, success, and approval. But here's the key. Nice guy syndrome isn't really about kindness or generosity. It's about using niceness as a strategy. It's a way to avoid conflict, gain validation, or manipulate outcomes to feel safe and secure. Let's break this down further. Nice guys often have what Dr. Glover calls covert contracts. These are unspoken agreements they believe others should follow, like, if I'm nice to you, you'll give me what I want. If I do everything perfectly, you'll love me. If I avoid conflict, everything will be okay. But here's the catch. These contracts exist only in the nice guy's mind. Other people don't know about them or agree to them. So when these expectations aren't met, it leads to frustration, resentment, and passive-aggressive behavior. At this point, you might be thinking, okay, but isn't being nice a good thing? And the answer is, absolutely. The problem isn't the kindness itself, it's the motivation behind it. Nice guy syndrome leads to three major issues. 1. Unrealistic expectations. Nice guys often expect others to reciprocate their efforts in specific ways, even when those expectations are never communicated. For example, doing a favor for someone and feeling upset when it's not acknowledged or returned. Constantly giving in relationships, but feeling resentful when it's not balanced. It's like writing a secret rule book for life and getting angry when no one reads it. 2. Suppressed needs. Nice guys are so focused on meeting others' needs that they neglect their own. They'll say yes to things they don't want to do. They'll sacrifice their time, energy, and happiness for others. And here's the kicker. They rarely admit when they're overwhelmed or need help themselves. This leads to burnout, frustration, and a sense of being unappreciated. 3. Lack of authenticity. To maintain the image of being nice, they avoid conflict, suppress opinions, and hide flaws. This might work in the short term, but in the long run, it creates shallow relationships. You can't build true intimacy if you're not showing your authentic self. Now, let's look at where nice guy syndrome starts. Most of the time, it's rooted in childhood experiences. For example, growing up in a home where love or approval was conditional, based on being good or pleasing others. Experiencing criticism or rejection, leading to a fear of showing vulnerability. Learning to avoid conflict because it felt unsafe or scary. Over time, these experiences create a belief system that says, I'll only be loved or accepted if I'm perfect, agreeable, and accommodating. This belief carries into adulthood and shapes how nice guys approach relationships, work, and life. Now that we know what nice guy syndrome is and where it comes from, let's talk about the damage it causes. While the intention behind being nice might seem harmless, the outcomes often tell a very different story. Here's how nice guy syndrome affects different areas of life. 1. Relationships. Nice guys struggle with setting and maintaining boundaries. They often avoid expressing their true feelings or needs, thinking it will keep the peace or make them more likable. But here's what actually happens. They feel unappreciated because their efforts aren't reciprocated. Their partners feel frustrated because they can't connect with the nice guy's true self. This creates a toxic cycle of unmet needs, hidden resentment, and emotional distance. For example, a nice guy might agree to plans they don't want to go along with just to avoid disappointing their partner. But over time, this leads to exhaustion and frustration. Instead of addressing it directly, the frustration leaks out as passive aggression. And that's how relationships break down. 2. Workplace and career. Nice guys carry their people-pleasing tendencies into their professional lives, and this can limit their growth. For instance, they hesitate to ask for raises or promotions, fearing they'll come across as greedy or demanding. They overextend themselves, saying yes to tasks they don't have time for. They avoid taking risks, sticking to what's safe. In the long run, this leads to feeling undervalued, overworked, and stuck in positions that don't reflect their true potential. A common example is the nice guy, who always takes on extra work for the team. But when it's time for recognition or a promotion, they're overlooked because they never advocated for themselves. 3. Mental health. Nice guy syndrome takes a toll on mental health, often leading to stress. Constantly trying to meet everyone else's expectations is exhausting. Anxiety, fearing rejection, or conflict creates a sense of unease in daily life. Low self-esteem. When their efforts go unappreciated, nice guys feel like they're not good enough. The worst part is that many nice guys don't even realize what's happening. They might think, I'm doing everything right, so why does it feel so wrong? The truth is, the constant suppression of their true self creates an emotional and psychological burden that can't be ignored. Let's address the classic saying, nice guys finish last. The reason this happens isn't because kindness is a weakness. It's because nice guys aren't practicing genuine kindness. Instead, they give with the expectation of getting something in return. Suppress their needs and feelings, creating resentment. Avoid taking risks or asserting themselves, which limits their growth. Finishing last isn't about being nice. It's about the inauthenticity and fear driving their behavior. People are drawn to authenticity, confidence, and assertiveness. When nice guys focus on these traits, they stop finishing last and start thriving. So, how do you break free from nice guy syndrome? Here's the first step. Recognize that it's okay to have needs. In fact, it's not just okay. It's necessary. Start by asking yourself, am I doing this because I truly want to, or because I expect something in return? Am I expressing my true feelings, or am I hiding them to avoid conflict? Am I setting boundaries, or am I letting people take advantage of me? Once you start identifying these patterns, you can begin to challenge them. It's about learning to say no when you mean it, and yes when it aligns with your values. It's about replacing people-pleasing with authenticity. Remember, true kindness isn't about sacrificing yourself for others. It's about giving freely, without strings attached. At its core, nice guy syndrome is rooted in fear. Fear of rejection, failure, or conflict. But here's the thing. Facing those fears is what leads to growth. When you stop trying to be the perfect person for everyone else, you make space to become the best version of yourself. And that version, that's the person people truly connect with. As Dr. Robert Glover says, nice guys are made, not born. They can also be unmade by making conscious choices to become authentic. This isn't about becoming selfish or arrogant. It's about learning to value yourself as much as you value others. Nice guy syndrome isn't about being genuinely kind. It's about using niceness as a strategy to gain approval or avoid conflict. While it might seem harmless, it often leads to frustration, resentment, and unfulfilling relationships. The good news? This can be fixed. By recognizing the patterns of nice guy syndrome, understanding its roots, and taking small steps toward authenticity, you can break free. In the next episode, we'll dive deeper into the signs of nice guy syndrome and how to identify them in yourself or others. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. Do you think you or someone you know might have nice guy syndrome? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe to Mindset Remix, and hit the bell for updates on the rest of this series. See you in the next one.